What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and today we have episode 51. I know it's a little delayed. My boy Andrew over here went on a nice little vacation, and so we had to delay some things, but everything's all good. And this is going to be a little bit different because usually we're talking more about before the game, and the game happened yesterday since it is Monday. Um, so really, we're just going to talk about the game. We'll talk a little bit about week one, but honestly, week one was so ugly. Probably not even a good idea to get into that. Drew, I'm sure when you were getting on Twitter all week last week, it was just brutal to even think because of everything going on between the rumors and just how people were doing their typical overreacting. But Browns came back. They won. We're 1-1 now. We definitely didn't play the cleanest game, but a win's a win, and I'm happy. We're at least here on Monday, um, talking about a win instead of another loss and starting 0-2.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think everyone agrees that the Dallas game was very, very ugly and very, very piss poor. And, I was at a Browns backers bar in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, and everyone's faces were flushed. I mean, I don't think we were expecting a miracle or a win. I think we were all expecting a very good and very tight and very close game. And it was just not it. And I mean, a bar full of like almost like 200 people in South Carolina felt like we all just wasted our damn time even bother showing up and watching the game. I think a lot of people left at halftime and said, "Well, I'm just fucking watching this shit at home,"
Yeah.
and I didn't blame them. I mean, it was just very very ugly, and I don't think we need to even go near that game because obviously we took care of business yesterday. I know a lot. Everyone had the Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Browns and the Browns starting 0-2. But I think we completely have the Jaguars number. We beat them last year. We beat them. I think it was like 2 years before that as well. I think if it wasn't then, I know we beat them. I think it was like around like Lawrence's like rookie season or something. We beat them. We've always had Trevor Lawrence's number. We've always had the Jaguars number over the last couple of years. So it was a game that I was more confident going into than the Cowboys game because I was like, okay, this is a game that I think we can easily handle. Our defense has performed very well in this game last year. They can very well perform again this year. And again, like we talked about before, we just need Deshaun to be the slightest bit competent, and we can win this football game. And that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that really killed us against Dallas was turnover. The
Yeah.
turnovers. Um, Obviously, we were playing a lot of down and distance. We were really behind the chains in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And it even happened a little bit here in the second half of this Jaguars game. But the first half was very clean. It was productive. I think we got both sides of the ball uh, moving pretty well. Like the defense, honestly, even last week, the defense did not play that bad against Dallas. They really didn't. They were just on the field for a long, long time
Mm-hmm.
because we had so many three and outs. We couldn't buy a first down on third down. And even yesterday, we really didn't do that well on third down, either. But when you're averaging 8.8 yards for every third down, it's hard to get a first down on those moments. So the Browns have to clean that part up, and part of that is going to be, can we stop with all of these penalties, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But if we can just clean that part up, this Browns team is going to be fine. I do want Watson to continue to take steps forward, but yesterday was a much cleaner game for him. It wasn't this super, crazy game that he needed to have because he really didn't need to have it. But he did make some big plays there towards the end. I thought he made some great like drive extending plays, moving around outside of the pocket. That play to Judy was a big time play because I think that was a long. I think it was a second or third down. Um, and Judy made a great play on the sideline to even stay inbound, and because he sort of bobbled it and then got it. Just to that's what you pay Watson to do is make those plays. And if that can be a little bit more consistent within his play as he continues to gain more confidence again, it can it'll help us. And the thing that's going to be sort of a thing to watch out for, honestly, is these rumors going around again with him. But I don't really want to talk about that until it actually gets a little more in depth. Um, but Watson played a clean enough game. He didn't play the craziest game of his life, but was a lot more productive than week one, because week one was just that was one of the like roughest QB performances ever. But he also couldn't breathe in the pocket, and he couldn't move around in the pocket at all. So I thought the O line did a much better job protecting him, and I think they did a much better job calling plays that were going to get the ball out a lot quicker, because Watson is a dude that likes to hold on to the ball, and that is a reason why he had as many sacks last week as he did, on top of the O line not playing well. But it was just a much cleaner game. It was one thing that that we needed, and it was a typical Browns win. Like, the way that we won that game, yesterday, was because of a safety towards the end of the game, within about 2 minutes to go. Um, and riding off of field goals, and having your only touchdown being in, like, what was it, the first quarter? It was literally one of our first drives, I think.
Yeah.
We scored that. And after that, it was just field goals and then playing your defense. And again, when your defense plays that well, it's really easy to be able to have that type of confidence within your special teams play. Because defense, I mean, we got after Trevor Lawrence. I mean, we had 4 sacks, nine TFLs, seven QB hits. Guys like Jock stood out, played an excellent game. Grant Delpit played an excellent game. Rodney, McLeod stepped up real big in wake of Juan Thornhill going on IR. Myles Garrett had a sack. Alex Wright obviously had the sack that turned into that, the safety. Just a lot of good stuff
Yep.
out of the defense. And again, as long as the defense can stay at that elite level that we know they can be at, everything else will soon follow, because it will continue to charge the offense. And as we get Nick Chubb back here in a few weeks, which could happen, my God, will that bolster this offense? And I think that's what the Browns are kind of prepping for, is they understand once Nick Chubb is back, he is going to still play a big part of this offense.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think when Nick Chubb does come back, he's going to contribute to this offense very nicely. And we all know that Nick Chubb is an absolute machine, and it's definitely going to help the run game tremendously, but it's also going to help out the passing game. It's going to help guys get open. It's going to help that tire out that opponent's defense. So having Nick Chubb back in a couple weeks is going to be very, very crucial. And played a very, very clean game. He played very, very well. I know a lot of people are still pessimistic and still saying like, "Oh, well, he was a dink and dunk game manager, and he was, this and that." And I could say the same about Tom Brady in his whole career. Tom Brady was a
Yeah,
game manager and a dink and dunk quarterback for his entire NFL career, and nobody had any complaints about him doing that. So what I care about is him not turning the ball over, and
yeah,
he didn't do that. And of course, everyone's like, "Well, he didn't throw for 300 yards a week." Look at guys like Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy had 320 yards passing and like multiple touchdowns and one pick, and he still fucking lost to Sam Darnold in the Minnesota Vikings. So throwing for over 300 yards and multiple touchdowns and stuff doesn't fucking matter if you can't win a fucking football game. All that matters is winning the game.
yeah,
Guys like Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert the other day, all had similar stat lines to Deshaun Watson, and all of them had worse passing yards than Deshaun Watson, and they won.
yeah.
Managers and dink and dunk quarterbacks and this and that. They did the same exact shit. So I know people have issues with Deshaun Watson. I get that. I get you hate him as a human being. I do too, because the shit he did off the field is disgusting. I hate him for that. But he is our quarterback. We have to be behind him. And if you can't do that, cool. but I don't want to see you at the parade if we
Yeah.
win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So if you can't back our team and back our quarterback, I don't want to see you at the parade. You don't belong there.
Period. Yeah.
I get it. I get it. I hate him just as much as you do. But I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, he still sucks. Like with at this time, he could have made this kind of throw. Like, okay, maybe he didn't see it.
Yeah.
Just because you're a couch keyboard warrior and you see it on the couch doesn't mean you can make the play either.
Right.
You want Josh Hines Allen coming chasing after you? I don't fucking want that. So I'm tired of the quarterback is there to do a job, and that's to win the football game. And Deshaun went out there and he won the fucking football game. If you want to complain about he didn't have 200 yards passing, well, tell Amari Cooper to catch the football.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell
Tell
Elijah Moore
everybody
to
catch. Tell
tell Elijah
everybody
Moore
to
to
catch
catch the
football.
football. Yeah,
Yeah.
tell these guys to catch the football. Then he would have way over 200 yards if these guys could catch the fucking
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do? Blame Deshaun for making a great throw and nobody catching it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like he had one bad throw and that was to Jerome Ford in the flat.
Yeah.
That was the only bad throw he had.
Yeah, it really was, and that's one thing that I do want to discuss because although we won, this was not a pretty game at all
No.
again, and this is not a very good Jaguars team in my opinion either, and that's why I had this game chalked as a dub regardless because they are not a phenomenal team. They do not have a phenomenal offense, and their defense was a little banged up, especially in their back end.
Mm-hmm.
Their front four is pretty solid, but they really didn't get to us, and they really didn't affect the game the way that we could against them. And just having the amount of penalties we had, I honestly don't even want to pull it up because I don't want to get angry, but I have to imagine it was well over 10. I mean, we had what like 4 or 5 on that last drive that literally set us from like a third and like 3, and then Foreman got that first down and then got the face mask on that first down after a big play, set us back, and then we kept going back, and then by the time it's third down, it's third and like
Mm-hmm.
36. And you're like, okay, cool, we're just going to do a draw play and just try to get something so we can at least play the field and punt. Which ended up working out. Don't get me wrong.
Or you
Bojo
at least
made
get a
the
field goal.
yeah, but Bojo made the play of the game because of that. But you shouldn't have to
Yeah.
rely on your punter to give you a chance to give a safety within 2 minutes of the game. Like that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
That was just string of luck. So the Browns have got to clean up a lot of shit. We have to clean up the penalties, and my God, even if you have to let go Chad O'Shea and bring in somebody who can show our receivers how to catch a ball, something needs to be done because these guys are doing. Besides Judy, he is the only one that has not dropped any passes. I'm fairly certain. I didn't really get to watch Week 1 because I usually work every Sunday, but Judy played a hell of a game, yesterday. He was the only one that really, seemed to be a productive receiver for us. Everybody else was dropping passes, and Moore had, a few good plays, but he also had a few drops. And Coop's been non-existent these last 2 weeks, and that's not good. Especially without Chief, who's probably going to be out at least next week, probably even the week after with a high, ankle sprain. You don't know when he's going to be back because those high ankle sprains are very rough. So you need all the help that you can get, and you need your number one receiver to step up and make plays. And he's been given chances to make plays, especially this, yesterday, and he just couldn't do it. Um, Guys have to start to step up, and we've got to clean up some things because the offense still has a lot of things to work out, and I hope that Stefanski can get them on track for that. And I think that's why you should indeed give more of the play calling ability to Dorsey and go over to the receiver room and tell them, hey guys, we got to step this up. Like this has to be fixed. This has to be everybody should catch a minimum of 200 balls a day or more. And if you're not, then okay, you're probably just not even going to play at this point because we need something. And then when it comes to O-line, the penalties, man, the holding penalties, the fault, the false starts. Uh, God, man, it's getting so rough to watch, and that it killed so many drives for us yesterday and even really last week.
Yeah, I mean, the drops have been absolutely fucking outrageous, dude. You have Amari Cooper who had a touchdown drop yesterday or last week. He had a big time play, which almost probably could have resulted in a touchdown drop yesterday. So, all this talk on the offseason about and I mean, Elijah Moore had a few drops yesterday, and obviously in week one, he had quite a few. Jerry Judy seems to be our only reliable receiver right now who can make a catch, and he was the one everyone was worried about catching the football. Well, apparently he's the only one who can catch the football on this roster because again, even though he's out right now, David Njoku couldn't catch a football week one. Right now, it's just Jordan Akins and Jerry Judy catching the footballs right now. And don't get me wrong, Elijah Moore still had a great game yesterday. I think he had 50 yards receiving, if I remember correctly. I have the stats right here. He had 6 catches for
Yep.
45 yards. So not a bad day for Elijah Moore. Judy had again 5 for 74 yards or 75 yards. So great game for Judy, but these drops have got to stop because these drops are big play drops. These drops could have resulted in touchdowns. They could have resulted in 50 plus yard plays or 25 plus yard plays, like plays that can make a significant. Blame Deshaun Watson on these because he's making the good throws. It's up to the receivers to make the catch and
Yeah.
come through. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry the ball hit Amari Cooper perfectly in his chest and in his hands, and he couldn't fucking bring it in.
Yeah.
Or, he had the over the shoulder that was perfectly in the basket, and he just, oh no, it's out of my hands. Like, and again, still people somehow still blame Deshaun for that. Like, okay, how much better do you want him to make that throw? It was damn near perfect. So, and then to the penalty situation, we had 13 penalties for 100. We had almost more penalty yards than rushing yards.
I know.
It's fucking insane. And I'm sure Stefanski's probably on that field today in Berea going, hey, boys,
We
what the
can't win
hell is
games
this?
like this. Yeah, we
Yeah,
can't win games like that. Period.
they're taking away big time plays. The Deontay Foreman 20-yard rush where Deontay Foreman had the face mask. Brother, you can stiff arm all you want. Just make sure you don't grab the mask.
Yeah.
Hit palms out, and then shove. You could have had a 20-yard rushing play. That would have
Yeah.
put you on like the 20, 15-yard line of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Again, we had a big time catch and a big time run. I think it was by Jerry Judy. Negated because offensive holding.
Yeah.
We could have had this kind of big play. Negated because illegal shift. So I don't get these penalties on, especially from the offensive line, because I think the vast majority of the 13 penalties were offensive holding.
Yeah.
I think it was like 8 of the 13 were offensive holding, 9 of the 13 were offensive holding, and then the others were more just illegal shift or something
Yeah.
simple. I think yeah, because it was 9 offensive holdings, it was 7 offensive holdings, 2 illegal shifts, and 1 face mask.
Yeah.
That's the 10 or that's all the penalties right there.
And then you
Or
also
something
add
like
in how many offside penalties we had,
Yeah, offside penalties. So I think there's 3 offside penalties, 2 on Myles Garrett.
which,
So there's your
dude,
13 penalties.
that's another thing I want to discuss, dude. Myles Garrett, you are the best DN in the league. I understand you were fast, and I understand that's part of your gimmick. You get 2 offensive penalty or offside penalties every single game. Every single game, this dude gets at least 1 or 2. He has got to stop. Look at the fucking ball and don't move. Wait
Yeah.
until it gets snapped, dude. This is high school level shit. I'm so tired of seeing defensive guys jump offside because you literally have a chance to go back
Yeah.
if you don't like messed that up. And one of them was stupid because he just kind of flinched. He didn't even go forward, and they still called it. That one pissed me off. But
That one shouldn't have been called.
no, it shouldn't have. And they even negated one on the Jaguars where it was that uh Trevor Lawrence was clearly over the line before he made that one throw that
Oh
obviously didn't
yeah,
count anyway. But like, dude, he was a foot and a half over the line. Like, hello, that's the name of the rule. Like if you're over the line, it's an illegal forward pass. Like the
yeah,
refs were kind of weird, but make no mistake about it, the Jaguars handed us this win on a silver platter because we did not play well enough to actually win that game. In the first half, we did great. Um, when we were able to sort of be a little diverse on on the offensive side of the ball, we were able to run the ball well. That key fourth down that we had after the first one that we had gotten, where Winston just did a simple QB sneak.
hmm
Instead of doing another QB sneak, we did a nice little handoff to Ford, and it went like 40 yards. It almost went for a score. Foreman came in and had some really good runs,
yeah,
especially in the first half. I think he really set the tone at the line of scrimmage there for a little bit because he's sort of acting as that Kareem Hunt sort of role where he's more of the bulldozer. Um,
yeah,
I think when you're able to do that with this team, I think it gives Stefanski more of an ability to be creative, and that's when he's at his best.
yeah,
Is when he has the freedom to call different plays. When he gets into a game like it was with Dallas, it's very hard for Stefanski to come back because he limits himself on what he can do, and it just screws up his entire plan. And so part of that again has to be on the Browns and being able to clean up their act on offense and not get all of these holding penalties and not be as sloppy as we have been. And I get it's only week 2. There's plenty of time to clean things up. So I'm not going to sit here and
yeah.
freak the hell out, but it's a need, it's a must need, especially if you are going to move forward in this division because right now our division actually looks beautiful right now. Baltimore's
Yeah.
0-2. The Bengals are 0-2. The Steelers are 2-0 somehow. The Steelers look like shit as expected, and yet they're still winning. Um, and then we're 1-1. So the division is gonna be wide open this year, especially if Baltimore continues to struggle the way they are, and the Bengals. Jamar Chase looks unhappy over there. He looks like he
Yeah.
is annoyed every single down. Burrow does not look the same. Their defense is not as well, and when they don't have Higgins either, that offense is stagnant. They have nothing to go off of, especially when you can't get the ball to Jamar. The Ravens, they don't know how to use Derrick Henry, which I am shocked that they don't understand that you can just run that dude into the ground and he will probably win you games by himself.
Yeah.
But they lost to a crappy Raiders team, and they had a big lead on the Raiders, and
Yeah.
then they lost by a field goal. This division is going to be wide open. And even when Russell Wilson comes back for the Steelers, I still don't think their offense is going to be anything more than what it is right now. I really think
Yeah.
you're not going to see much of a difference. The only thing that keeps the Steelers afloat is that defense, which it always will. Um, but this is going to be the year that the Browns need to clean their act together and try to stay as healthy as you can to make sure that you can get through this division.
Well, and I think that's why we see a lack of Jack Conklin and Jed Wills is
Yeah.
because I think they want to make sure that they are both 1,000% healthy and ready to go before the because I think they're looking at all the injuries going around the league right now. And they're like, yeah, we should probably hold these guys out just for a little bit longer,
Yeah.
just so that way snap they both get injured again.
Yeah.
So I can understand why they're kind of holding these guys out for a little bit longer. It makes sense. Um, I didn't like we said the offensive line did a better job of protecting Watson this time around.
Yeah.
Again, the 13 penalties is really shitty. We had 11 against Dallas, but again, it was only for 60 yards. So a lot of the penalties were more just 5 yard penalties. They were just basic, generic, simple little penalties. They were nothing crazy.
Right.
But again, 11 and 13 penalties is not a good way to win football games. You can't have over 10 penalties a game and expect to win football games. And like you said, this division is now becoming wide open. It's very much open. We play the Giants on Sunday, which I will be in attendance at that game. Um, and then trying to look at some of the other teams in the division and who they face. The 2-0 Pittsburgh Steelers are playing the Chargers, so that should be a tough game for them. Um, the Baltimore and the Bengals play the Washington Commanders, so I think the Bengals should have an easier time winning
Yeah.
against the Commanders, and the Browns should have an easier time, you would think, to beat the New York Giants. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh and Baltimore have two pretty difficult opponents. I mean, at least for the Steelers, you would think the Chargers are a difficult opponent,
Yeah.
and the way that they're playing right now, and then the way Baltimore is playing, you can't expect them to go to Dallas and beat the Cowboys at this point because they're just Derrick Henry more often. They're trying so hard to make Lamar look like prime time Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes combined into one, and it's not working out.
No, it never
And
works out.
well, and the funny thing is too, is like they rush Lamar Jackson more than they do Derrick Henry, and I find that very funny.
Yeah.
And it's not working out at all
No.
for for the Baltimore Ravens because I know game one he had more. Derrick Henry, this time Lamar only had 5 rushing attempts. Derrick Henry had 18, but I remember I think it was week one where he had, I guess the Chiefs, he had more rushing attempts than, yeah, Lamar Jackson had 17 carries in week one
Yeah.
for 122 yards. Derrick Henry had 12 carries for 50 yards.
Yeah.
Like, that's not sustainable.
No, it's not. And it's going to piss Derrick Henry off because he's going to be like, I
I
came
came
here
here to
for a
win.
reason.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Like, if you're going to keep me here, at least use me. And, that's the other thing about the Ravens is they're more
Yeah.
of like a running back by committee sort of team where
Hmm.
they like to use guys like Hill. When Keaton Mitchell comes back, they're going to, use him a little bit because he's so
Yeah.
speedy. Like, that's just how they've always been. So it's better for Henry because he has a chance to actually stay healthy, but it's not because then you're negating the fact that you have a legit like running back one, and you're not really using him the way that he needs to be utilized. He obviously he's older. Obviously he's not as good as he was. His prime years are pretty much behind him, but he's still very good, and he's still a large human being, and a large human being that
And
is
he's
hard
hard
to
to take
take down.
down.
And it's weird what's going on in Baltimore because I mean they've choked so many games the last few years. Uh, Yesterday was just one more to add to that list, and they could have won that game against the Chiefs. The Chiefs
Mhm.
haven't even looked that crazy good, and they're
No.
starting to get sort of a injury bug as well. So like again, as I've said, everybody is starting to catch this sort of injury bug that it's scaring me. There's a lot of guys getting hurt right now, and I just hope the Browns can stay afloat through at least our bye week and see where sort of everybody is at, and hopefully by then you'll have guys like Chubb back. You'll have Chief a little bit more healthy. You'll have Watson fully
Mhm.
in stride. That's hopeful, but that's 8 more weeks away. That's 2 months away from now. So we'll see ultimately where they'll be at
And
in November.
and the thing is too, for until you play Philadelphia essentially
Yeah,
in a full month because you play New York, Vegas, and Washington,
yeah,
and those games you should be able to win.
yeah. You
You
should.
should be able to you should be able to start the season 4-1 before you end up facing the Philadelphia Eagles. And even then, and we're gonna see it tonight because the Eagles play tonight. The Eagles haven't looked that crazy scary either.
Yeah,
So this is a league that's wide open right now. Hell, the only team I'm really afraid of right now is the fucking New Orleans Saints because somehow, somebody they keep dropping 45 points in the first 2 weeks, and I don't see what's going on down there, down by the bayou, but something's cooking down there because Derek Carr looks invincible,
Yeah.
and Alvin Kamara put up another fucking like 50-point fantasy week or so. So they're the only team I'm scared of at this point. I'm not even scared of the Chiefs. I'm not scared of the fucking Eagles. I'm scared of the New Orleans Saints. But no, the schedule is very much favorable for you. Again, you play New York, and then you're on the road for 3 straight games against Vegas, Washington, Philly. Again, I think you can handle New York, Vegas, and Philly, or excuse me, New York, Vegas, and Washington. And again, like I said, you start the season 4-1, and I want to see like the Baltimore schedule and like so the so okay, looking at Baltimore schedule, they have the Cowboys, the Bills, and the Bengals. So there's a chance they could only win maybe one of those games, and that might be against the Bengals. And then for Cincinnati, they play again. Cincinnati has another favorable schedule ahead of them. They play Washington, Carolina, and then they play Baltimore, New York. So this is the time for teams like Cleveland and Cincinnati to really get a jump on Baltimore.
Yeah.
Because Pittsburgh plays the Chargers, the Colts, the Cowboys, and the Raiders, and the Jets. So the Steelers' schedule is only going to get harder going into the next few weeks. The Browns is easy. The Bengals is easy. The Bengals too. The Browns should be four. The Browns should be at the top of the division by this time next month,
Yeah. We should.
and it should because if I'm calculating this right, the Ravens could be 1-4,
Yeah.
and the Steelers could now start going under 500, and so you have the 2-3 Steelers, the 1-4 Ravens, the 3-2 Bengals, and then you have the 4-1 Cleveland Browns, and that's a nice lead to have.
Yeah, it is. So I mean, then here's to being hopeful. Fortunately, we have some very winnable games these next few weeks. Uh, so obviously anything can happen, but if the Browns can just continue to move forward and they're not going to take any steps back, we're going to be just fine. But
Yeah.
it has to be proven, and there's a lot of things that still need to be cleaned up because once again, we did not deserve to necessarily win that game.
No.
Yesterday we really didn't. We played a bad game, especially in the second half. The first, like I said, the first half was beautiful, man. It wasn't really high scoring, but we did what we needed to do. We held the lead the entire half, and defense played outstanding. Offense was starting to move the ball. Run game was doing well. Like when everything flows like that, this team is so dangerous because we have such an ability to control the game, control the clock, especially, and really use it to our advantage. But the minute we start slowing down, the minute we start getting penalties and we start getting on these, third and long, you know, sort of situations, it's when this team struggles so mightily, and I don't know what it is about Stefanski teams that struggles with that, but that needs to be cleaned up. So hopefully, I would say hopefully we can at least get one of the tackles this week back because I mean I know you said it earlier. I'm tired of James Hudson.
Yeah.
I almost wish we would just start that Afidi dude over Hudson, honestly. But even then, it really wouldn't change him. Like it would be much better. So hopefully, at least Conklin can get back. If not, at least Jed. It sounds like Conklin is a little bit more ahead of schedule than Wills is.
Yeah.
Um, but we'll see. I
I'm
know.
hoping to see one of them Sunday.
Yeah, like I just want to see one of them because Dewan Jones is gonna be fine. He's gonna hold his own. He's off to a slow start, but Dewan once he gets back into the flow of things, I think Dewan will be fine. Um,
Yeah.
but hell, even if you want to move Dewan over to left tackle and let Conklin stay at the right, that's fine. I don't care. But then you have to worry about Wills, and then you have to worry about who's gonna end up starting and who's gonna end up, having to sit. It's probably going to be Dewan. Do you Should you? No. I think you should just ride Dewan out because he's such a large human being that you can't help but keep him on the field. Um, so we'll see what they do. But things need cleaned up, and that's just sort of the basis of our problems. Is just we're just sloppy right now. We're a very sloppy team. We don't really seem fully prepared. And again, I know it's week 2, so there's still time to clean things up, but it's a little worrisome when you see sort of a lack of preparation from this team, and it's not the first time that we've seen this out of a Stefanski team,
Yeah.
and I just hope that things can get cleaned up a little bit because we need it.
Yeah, I think the main focus of practice this week is going to be penalties and how to actually properly, you know, block the defensive line and not hold,
Yeah.
and definitely catching. I think that's going to be the two main focuses this week: is catching the football and learning how to properly hold defensive players and not
Yeah.
get called for offensive holding anymore. And
Yeah.
and maybe tell guys like Elijah Moore and stuff how to not illegally shift and to get ready
Yeah.
and set before the snap.
Yeah.
And also to tell Miles, hey, listen, we're gonna have you step aside and we're gonna train you not how to jump offside.
Yeah.
And like this is new for Miles Garrett too. Like it started happening last year where he really started jumping offsides quite a bit. Because before that, he hardly ever jumped offside at all.
He would, like, don't get me wrong, like I think throughout his entire career, I've that's always one thing that I've noticed is he does jump off sides a good bit, but the last 2 years especially, and again,
Has
I
been
get it, like
crazy.
his, well, I get it. A part of his game is just how fast he gets off the line of scrimmage. Trust
Yeah,
me, I get it. But if that means having to move yourself back, another inch or two, just to give yourself some room, that's
yeah,
fine. But like, man, just watch that ball and then go. I mean, you are fast enough to beat half of these linemen anyway. Um, it gives them a free play, and if you're playing a team like the Jets or a Derek Carr team, they're just gonna chuck it up for a big play, and you're gonna give them a free play anyway. That's what guys like that are known for,
yeah,
and you can't give good teams an opportunity like that to get a free play because then instead of a 5 yard gain, it's a 50 yard gain, and
yeah,
it can really change the game. So. Uh, Thank God that part didn't really shoot us in the foot. It was definitely a lot more of the holding, the face mask, the illegal shifts. I know that they changed the ruling, I guess, on the shifts a little bit more than what they are.
yeah,
So you need to coach up your guys and again prepare them for the difference from what it was to what it is now. And it's the same thing
yeah,
with the kickoff thing. Like, I didn't even understand that penalty. I didn't fully grasp what happened or what went wrong, but you got a fumble on that play and you couldn't even get it because it was negated by a stupid penalty. Like
yeah. I
you're killing plays and you're
that
killing
penalty is
drives at that
that
point.
yeah. From what I understood from that kickoff penalty is that kickers cannot cross the 50-yard line until the ball is caught. Is what the quote unquote penalty is.
Yeah.
So you take the kickoff at was it the 35, 30-yard line. So you cannot cross the 50 until that ball is caught. And D Hop, before the ball is caught, just crossed the 50-yard line. So, and I don't think he knew that that was a case. Um, I also think that the league can maybe do a better job explaining these rules a little bit better if they're going to
Yeah.
implement them.
Yeah.
So that way teams and players can, be coached on it and understand what the penalty is, what the penalty does, what the penalty causes, and this and that, and it helps slow down these penalties. But if the league didn't communicate like, oh, your kicker can't cross the 50-yard line, then that's kind of on the league to not tell teams that. But also too, it's also going to be on Kevin Stefanski and the special teams coordinator. Like, listen, we're going to walk through this step by step. We're going to make sure this never happens again. And it's just simple shit, you know. Like I think this whole practice this week is going to be going over the simple shit.
Yeah.
You know, how to not jump off sides, how to properly make clean holds so you don't get called for offensive holding, how to not grab the face mask. You know, it's just going to be little dumb shit like how to catch a football. You know, put this machine on this level. We're gonna make sure the ball comes at you pretty hard, and you're gonna catch it. And we're gonna catch 50 balls. We're gonna do a couple rounds where you catch 50 balls or 25 balls each or whatever, and we're gonna make sure that your hands are solidified and you can actually make a catch. So, or we're gonna have Jameis Winston or a couple other guys floating balls over your shoulder to make sure you can make an over the shoulder catch. You can make these catches. So there's going to be a lot of practice on not jumping off sides and stuff like that because we really need it because we can't have more than 10 penalties a game. And I think that's what killed us last year too was there were some games where we lost that we should have won because we had 15 penalties for 120 yards and it really ended us. So I think there's going to be a big emphasis on that for Stefanski this week and Jim Schwartz and whoever else, Ken Dorsey. These basic shit until you guys get it down. So that way we leave the game with under 10 penalties and, you know, we can, you know, stay competitive in these football games. So it, it sucks to say all this type of stuff, but it's something that they need to hear to get into the frame of mind that all these games are winnable if you just don't do something so dumb and make these dumb little mistakes.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's ultimately what it is. It's dumb little mistakes, and we, you're a professional football team.
Yeah.
You have to not be this type of team. And we've had, I mean, over the course of Stefanski's tenure here, we've had many games where we have had, you know, games where we'll have 10+ freaking penalties and over 100 yards of penalty, you know, yards,
Yeah.
dude, and you don't win a lot of those games. Period.
Hmm.
That needs to get cleaned up, and that's probably the only thing that I think I ever get truly frustrated with when it comes to Stefanski is for whatever reason this team just seems to have sloppiness on the field,
Yep.
and I don't know what they're doing in practice or what they're doing, you know, in between games, but that needs to change because these guys need to be held accountable, and they need to understand that we cannot play sloppy games like this. Penalties and shit are gonna happen at times, but you can't have 10 to 12 a game and expect to win your games. It's
Yeah.
just not. It's not a way to win, and I'm tired of it. I'm really tired of watching this team make that many mistakes and put themselves in a position after playing so well for you know 3 quarters and then having just a meltdown. And everybody in my Dogland chat was just like, man, here we go. Here's the meltdown. And if it wasn't for that key punt that set up the safety at the end of the game there with 2 minutes to go, I mean, we're probably talking about a much different outcome to this game. And, you know, even the drive after that we had,
Hmm.
again, it was negated by so many penalties. We had, what, 4 or 5 straight after the face mask? It was just like a.
Yeah.
I literally think Stefanski called a timeout just to cool everybody off, to being like, dog, what are we doing? Quit. Just run the fucking play.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
run the
literally,
play.
I have a feeling that's what he did. He literally called a timeout and said, guys, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, we were literally on their 30-yard line. Now we're back at the 50.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? We were literally about to be in the red zone.
We
And
were at
here
least
we
in
are.
field goal range.
We were still in field goal range. And here we are at the 50 because you can't fucking hold properly. You are we going to keep playing stupid?
Yeah.
Like, now we have to run a simple fucking QB sneak through the middle to try and gain at least some yardage back.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe getting into field goal range again to see if we can't kick a field goal with D Hop. If anything, at best, we're gonna have to fucking punt because you guys decide that you don't know how to fucking hold a defensive player. You're looking at your hands like, wait, how do I not hold anymore? Like, fucking ridiculous. And he probably said that to him too. Like, you guys are goddamn professionals. Is it hard to just let go of someone after the QB has passed you or after the running back has passed you?
Yeah.
Like, do you have to keep just fucking holding?
Yeah.
Like, as soon as Deontay Foreman goes past you, whoa, let go.
Yeah.
Ready? One more time. Woo, you let go.
Yeah.
Like, you don't fucking keep holding, you idiots. So I don't think I think Kevin Stefanski was really frustrated with them on that, and I can see why he did a timeout there. Like, listen, stop being fucking
Yeah.
stupid and just actually just not hold. Like, can we do that for one goddamn play?
Yeah. I
Because the
mean,
play calls aren't bad themselves. It's just the holding penalties are killing him.
yeah, and it all started with that stupid fucking face mask too. Like that
Yeah,
you know, that doesn't get called too often, but it did because he grabbed the
yeah,
actual face mask when he did that. And I was like, dude, Foreman, you just negated such a great play. And again, there were so many plays yesterday that were negated because of these freaking penalties, and
Mhm.
it's very frustrating. And so I just hope that gets cleaned up ultimately, because if we can clean that up, I think the offense runs way smoother, and you don't give teams as many opportunities to strike because you are in such control of the game when you're not doing stupid shit like that. And again, the first half did well because of that. We controlled,
Yeah,
every outcome of that first half. I mean, yeah, we didn't score a whole lot of points, but there's teams out here that are not scoring a lot of points right now because it's week 2. This is going to happen. And by the way, let's just give ourselves some grace here. We called Caleb Williams not playing well so far.
yeah,
Like,
we have.
we literally said Caleb Williams is going to struggle in his rookie season. So far, he is like dead last in everything, passing wise.
Probably besides Bryce Young.
Yeah, I mean Bryce is the only dude. My God, poor Bryce Young. I bet you Bryce Young would play better somewhere else. It's just that's where QBs go to die, honestly.
Yeah,
Because if you look at Baker and even Sam Darnold, they both play like shit over there. The minute that they get out of there, they're both balling out like they're Pro Bowlers. Like,
yeah,
Baker played well, obviously last year with Tampa. He's one of the best quarterbacks statistically right now in the league through week 2. And Sam Darnold beat the 49ers yesterday. Like,
let him up.
he freaking lit him up. Jay Jetta had a big game. So I honestly think it's just the Panthers are just a team that QBs go to die. It used to be Cleveland, and now it's not. It's
Yeah,
just Cleveland is now where you overpay for QBs that give you game sort of manager games, and that's about all
yeah.
we're gonna get. Which again, if he doesn't turn the ball over, we're fine. I really don't care how many yards
If we
or how
win
many
games, I'm
passing.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we're winning, we're winning. But yeah, the week 2 has been dude. It's been a weird start to the season between the injuries, the teams that are playing well right now, the teams that aren't playing well. Uh, this is what I love about the start
yeah,
of the NFL seasons is everybody starts off a weird way. The only one that's not really a shock is the Chiefs playing like meh. They always start off meh at the start of the year because they're waiting until
yeah,
end of November to really start turning it on, and that's what they're gonna do. But
yeah, yeah.
it's been a
I
fun
didn't
NFL
have.
season so far.
I didn't have Derek Carr playing like prime Peyton Manning in my fucking
Oh,
bingo card this year.
this dude lit up freaking Dallas a week after Dallas absolutely smothered us, and Derek Carr looks like freaking MVP right now,
Yeah,
straight up.
probably the front runner for like the front runners for MVP are like Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold,
Yeah, and even Kyler
which is
too, dude.
the
Kyler
weirdest
had
thing
a
I've ever seen.
And then
Yeah,
Kyler has an insane game yesterday. On top of
yeah,
that, like, Marvin Harrison I think he had like 3 or 4 catches and like 130 yards and two scores at the end of the first quarter. I was like, Okay. All right. When Kyler's on, God, like the Cardinals can really be they're going to be a dark horse team as long as Kyler stays healthy.
Yeah.
It's just I wonder how long it's going to take before Kyler
Uh,
gets hurt again because I don't love their O line. It's better than what it was, but I don't love their line. Uh, but as long as he keeps feeding it to Marvin and they can get their run game going, at least a little bit because they still have Trey McBride as well. Cardinals are going to be just fine, honestly, because they're not in a very hard division. So I think they're going to be all right.
yeah. It was funny is like you said, Kyler went 17 to 21 for 270 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, like that's nuts.
Yeah,
That dude, that dude went
Marvin
off.
Harrison lit it up. Marvin Harrison had 4 catches, 130 yards, 2 tutties. And then, of course, James Conner had 20 carries for 130 yards rushing and a touchdown.
Yeah, like
Like,
it's such a weird start to the
it's
year. I love it.
insane start to the year. Fucking
Oh yeah,
crazy.
yeah.
Oh, man,
So
dude.
luckily again, our Brownies won. We're 1-1. Uh,
Yes.
who do we face next week?
The Giants.
Giants.
We played
Okay.
the Giants on Sunday.
All right, so listen, all you got to do is stop neighbors, and that's pretty much GG. Because
Yeah.
if you can get to Danny Dimes is going to start throwing pennies, and he's going to start throwing picks, and we're going to be just fine. But we will save all of that talk for Thursday or Friday, whichever day that we decide to record, because I now have different off days. So we may do live streams on Fridays now. We kind of switch it up a little bit. And then obviously when the Browns do their Thursday night game, we should probably at least live stream that and just like talk as the game's going on. Uh,
I think what's nice too is I'll have a TV into my
yeah.
studio, so I can always have the TV off to my side here, and I
Yep.
can watch the game. And
For sure. No, yeah. I mean, I'll definitely because by then I'll be in my new space, so
yeah,
I'll also be able to at least have my like TV on. So I'll just have to find a way to get it to where it's not in like the background or anything, so we don't get
yeah.
DFA. I don't want to get no freaking copyright strikes on our freaking small channel. we're
No,
trying to we're trying to grow here. Damn it.
no, because I want to have in the back come after our ass.
Right, literally. But yeah, so Browns are 1-1.
Yeah,
We got the Giants next week, so we'll obviously have that, and we will also do our picks
yeah.
as well. Since we didn't get to really do that this week, I mean, I guess we can try to at least pick this game tonight. I mean, I think it's going to be Eagles all the way. I mean, I know they're going to be without AJ Brown, but they still have Saquon, and Saquon had a nasty week one. I think that continues. So I think the Eagles are going to probably win that game.
I mean, let's be honest, it's going to be the Eagles.
Yeah.
They're playing Atlanta, and I don't think Atlanta would. That Atlanta defense is going to stand a chance against the Philadelphia Eagles. So I got the Eagles tonight as well.
Yeah. And I mean, you don't really know what version of Kurt you're going to get tonight, too. Kurt didn't play awful in week one, but they just didn't run up enough of a offense to really display what they can do.
No,
I'm just hoping for my fantasy team wise that because I'm facing Saquon tonight, and I have Kyle Pitts and I have Smith as well. So I mean I have uh, a pretty good matchup, and I should win this game because I think I'm up by like 15 or 20 points. So I should be a lock. But if Barkley has a freaking hat trick like Kamara did, God knows what's gonna happen. So I need Devonta Smith to ball out in absence of AJ Brown, and I need Kyle Pitts to get me like 10 or 12 points, and I'll be Gucci. So hopefully they can at least get Kyle Pitts in. I'm probably gonna put a bet in tonight. I really don't have anything right now to even put up, so I'm not even gonna worry about throwing those up today. But in our next episode, we'll obviously get back to that. Just stuff going on.
yeah,
Andrew's on vacations, and he's getting ready to go up to Toronto this week. And I was supposed to leave at
tomorrow.
some point, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, that's pretty much all we got today. Andrew, you got anything else before we log off for the day?
No, man, I'm just gonna say go Brownies.
And go Guards as well.
Go Guards. They played the Twins. They started a 4 game series today against Minnesota, so obviously go Guardians. Hopefully we can take this series against Minnesota, and yeah, man, go Browns, go Guardians. I'll be at the Browns game on Sunday, so I can always give a nice perspective from the
Yeah.
stadium and see what I see live in person.
Hell yeah.
So we'll see what goes on Sunday.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, we will see you guys later this week. Remember, we're just BSing around here.